Hiya, I'm just going to take you through some basic PHP stuff, just getting started with it using XAMPP. So PHP is a server-side scripting language. That means it runs on a web server. It cannot run on the client computer. It can't be run by a browser. Browsers don't understand PHP, but PHP is run at the server. It's used to often generate HTML code, generate extra HTML code, and update the HTML document before it is sent to the browser. So PHP is sort of stripped out by the server, it's executed, and then the document sent to the browser to be rendered. So our computer isn't a browser. One way we can work with PHP is we could actually just sign up to a web host. I mean, there are plenty of free web hosts, and you can spend your time uploading. Every time you make a change to your document, you can upload it to the server again, and then load it in your browser, and you'll be able to view it. But actually, we can just run a server on our client. We can run a local server, and we're doing that using XAMPP. So what you need to do before you start doing any work with PHP is you need to get Apache running. So, it's opened up over this side. Here we go. So get your control panel up. Now, for now, we just need Apache. When we get into database-driven stuff, we're going to need MySQL as well. But for now, we just need to start Apache. Make sure that's all running properly. And then we also need to make sure we save our documents in the correct place. So what I'm going to do is go and sort that out now. So you need to save within your XAMPP folder on your flash drive or wherever. Within your XAMPP folder, there's an htdocs folder, and you have to save everything in there. You can see mine's a bit of a mess, predictably, but let me just make a new folder there. So anywhere within this htdocs, that's where you're going to save. It's like the root of your server. So I'm just going to call this whatever, PHP example. PHP examples, there we go. And I'm going to save all my stuff in here. So that's that set up. Now, back here, you can see I've got the starting of a basic HTML document, but I'm going to include some PHP code in it. So I can't save it as an HTML document. I need to save it as PHP. Any file which has any PHP in it needs to be saved as PHP. That's how the server will know that it needs to check through it for PHP code, strip it out, execute it before it sends it to the browser. So let's just go to this. Now I need to find my flash drive and my XAMPP folder and htdocs. PHP examples, there we go. So it needs to be somewhere in htdocs. I'm going to call this imaginatively example 1, and then we need to find PHP, which is one of these. I've forgotten what they're called again. PHP stands for PHP Hypertext Processor. I can't remember what that's called. Anyway, there we go. .php. That's what you need. So at the moment it's got no PHP code, but we need to save it as .php. Now, I'm going to start with just a bit of HTML, PHP example 1, there we go, just to demonstrate the next point. So if I do my usual and run this in Chrome or whatever browser I want, it won't work. It's just going to show me the code. That's because it's PHP. I can't just run it in the browser. I need to do it via the server. I need to do it via Apache. So the way I do this is I type into the address bar of my browser localhost. So this will work as long as I've got Apache running. Okay, I've got Apache running. As long as I've got it working, and as long as I've got my file saved in htdocs somewhere, then I go localhost, and then I just put the path from htdocs. So if it's just saved in the top level of htdocs, I would just type the file name here. But mine is in PHP examples, and then it's called example1.php. Okay, So localhost is like typing htdocs, I guess. And there we go. It's coming up now. Okay, so how's PHP work? Well, anywhere in a page, pretty much anywhere on a page, we can add in some PHP code, and it will. We're going to use it initially just to generate some HTML, and it's going to seem pointless initially, but you'll start to see the point as we do a few more examples. So the way we say that we're going to put some PHP code is we do this, and you see it's certainly in Notepad++. It should turn red like that. So it's the less than question mark PHP, no spaces or anything, and then the way we end it is the question mark and the greater than symbol. You can see Notepad++ is picking up on it here. So this just means that I can put in here any PHP code I want. It has to be PHP code now. PHP is just a programming language. That's like any other programming language. So it's got all the usual structures. It's got loops, it's got selection, variables, arrays, all the stuff you would expect. Now what I'm going to introduce you to this first example is the echo command. And echo just means whatever I put after echo, it's going to add this to the page here, add it to the document. You'll see what I mean shortly. So I'm going to add a paragraph. This was generated using PHP. Okay, so this bit here is going to be echoed to the document. It just means it's going to appear on the document. And PHP commands finish with a semicolon. Okay, so that is how you do an echo command. Now let's quickly save that. And now we can't just run, we have to go back here and refresh that. Okay, so seems pointless so far, but let's just have a look at the source just to check we're understanding. So this is, when I'm working with PHP, certainly I do quite a lot of viewing the source just to check what has actually been echoed. So there we go. You can see I'm not seeing any PHP. It's been stripped out by the server. It's been executed. The only command in it was to echo this, and that is what has happened. That has been echoed to the document. So we can use that to dynamically generate the page. For example, just a really basic level, if I combine that with a selection structure with an if, I could echo different things to the page depending on a condition. I mean, it could be a stupid thing. It could be depending on the date. I could check the date, and if it's after a certain point, echo one thing, and if it's before a certain point, echo another. So the page appears differently depending on the circumstances in which you look at it. And so this is going to be useful to us when we start working with databases. I think that's about all. You know what? I'll do one more example. Let's also echo in a hyperlink, because this will bring up another example. So I'm just going to echo in click here to find out more. Right, and we know how to do hyperlinks already, because, you know, we've done Nat 5. I'm just going to pause this for a moment while I find somewhere to link to. Okay, whoops. So we do the usual href equals. Now here's what I want to show you. If I do this, if I do my href in speech marks, that causes confusion. You can see it's getting quite confused. Even the colouring here, it's not recognising things properly. That is because it thinks speech marks like that are the end of the string. Now there are a couple of ways around that. I think for me the best way is to use escape characters. And escape characters occur in other languages as well. To escape a string, it means you're going to use like a special character that wouldn't be allowed. We're escaping the string for a moment. In PHP, the escape character is a backslash. So if we put that just before we use a character like the double speech marks here, which are going to cause confusion, then it solves all our problems. Okay, so that is going to read, it's going to echo this href equals, it's not going to echo the backslash, but it is going to echo the speech marks. Let's just quickly check that. So if I refresh here, okay, seems to be working, and let's just view the source for a minute so you can see what's actually happened. I should have put that in a paragraph as well, shouldn't I? There you go. I think that's the basics. I think that'll do for now. You can have a play about with it. Okay, see you later. Hope that helped.